The wind made the night feel heavier and harsher as it shook the Flagstaff storage shed's thin metal walls. Moving like a shadow within, Robyn Brown looked over her shoulder every few seconds. A tiny flashlight was clenched between her teeth, its beam darting across a heavy combination locker in the corner, and her hair was tucked behind a baseball cap. Her lips whispered in a voice only she could hear as her fingers manipulated the lock with skilled motions. "Come on, Caleb, just like you showed me." She turned the dial once more, the metal creaking beneath her fingers, till finally the mechanism clicked in a pleasing manner. A peculiar exhilaration mixed with the adrenaline, causing her chest to rise and fall rapidly. The envelopes were neatly piled and labeled with dates and months in Kody's distinctive handwriting. As the door flung open, her heart raced when she noticed that some of them had additional markings in marker, such as Coyote Pass payments, utilities, and emergency fund. Hey, hello everybody! Welcome back to my channel TLC Flicks. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up. She grabbed 3 heavy bundles from within and stuffed them inside her purse. With a slight smirk on her lips, she took out her phone and took a picture of the combination before shutting the locker. After closing the door and turning the lock, she slid out into the cold and vanished into Flagstaff's shadowy streets. When Kody arrived at the shed the following morning, his boots crunched on the gravel. His voice was low and annoyed as he murmured something about down payments. He slammed the door open, spun the lock combination, and then froze. His fingers fumbled through the stacks as his eyes flitted from envelope to envelope. The shed seemed to lose its air. "What?" he yelled, and the sound reverberated off the metal walls. "Where's the remainder of it?" He was furious by the time he stormed into Janelle's kitchen later that morning. He rushed through the door as she was drinking coffee. "Janelle, someone stole from me. It wasn't a stranger either." With a doubtful expression on her face, she cocked her head slightly. "This was inside my locker. Are you certain you didn't simply spend money and forget about it?" Kody gave her a look that would have made steel melt. "Do I appear to have forgotten thousands of dollars?" She simply gave the cameras a knowing, deliberate glance, without responding. Later, Kody was summoned into a tiny office by a TLC producer who played security footage from the storage shed. The screen flickered with grainy black and white images. There was a figure approaching the locker. Kody leaned forward, inhaling loudly and with a taut face. The person then slightly moved in the direction of the camera, revealing the sweep of the bangs and the curve of the jaw. It could not be mistaken. Robyn putting on that baseball cap. Kody opened his mouth to speak, but nothing came out. Robyn sat rigidly in the chair with her fists gripped tightly in her lap. As the camera cut to her lone interview, "Look, Kody has been distracted lately. I've been lonesome and I just wanted to have a good night when I found someone who genuinely listened to me and cared. Is it really a crime?" The editor stopped her sobbing face in front of the screen full of tabloid stories about her secret boyfriend and the stolen money. Then came a string of grainy phone footage. Robyn at a dark restaurant, leaning across the table at a tall man wearing a leather jacket. Her palm brushed his as she laughed, a gleam of giddiness in her eyes. He once passed a small object across the table, possibly a present, and she smiled shyly down at it. Kody couldn't control his anger when he confronted her at her home. He tossed the surveillance still prints onto the coffee table. "For some dude, you broke into my locker." Robyn's voice wavered, but it was anger rather than fear. "Kody, you don't understand. For months you have been neglecting me while pursuing real estate transactions. I felt alive again because of him." His mouth clenched. "By taking my cash." Venom crackled in the air between them. At last, Kody turned and rushed out, causing a picture frame to tumble to the floor as the door smashed against the wall. Mary reclined back in her chair during her own interview, a small smile on her lips. She remarked quietly, "Karma is a funny thing." She pretended to be the victim for years. Right now, everyone's attention is on her. The cameras then went dark, leaving just the rumble of a developing scandal and the assurance that the mystery man would not remain a secret for very long. 2 days later, the first murmurs were heard. Outside a late-night coffee shop in downtown Flagstaff, a barista vowed she had seen Robyn holding hands with a tall man who wasn't Kody. A hazy cell phone shot appeared online the next morning. Even if the man's face was partially hidden, rumors may be sparked by the sharp line of his jaw and the faint tattoo curling just beneath his sleeve cuff. When the altercation, Kody has not communicated with Robyn. With his phone buzzing with incoming texts from TLC executives, he was pacing Janelle's living room with the shades partially drawn and grumbling to himself. Janelle, they know it. The supporters, the media. It's present everywhere. It's not just embarrassing, it's public humiliation. Janelle sat at the counter and silently watched him fall apart. You're only now realizing what it's like to be betrayed. She inquired quietly, without raising her eyes from her coffee. Meanwhile, there was tension at Robyn's house. She was seen on camera breathing irregularly while seated at the dining room table with her phone facing down. Then there was a crisp, purposeful knock. She looked toward the hallway and froze. She stood up slowly and opened the door. The dude from the restaurant was there. He took off his leather jacket and entered. Caleb was his name, and when he smiled, Robyn's face lit up with the warmth that had not been seen in years. They conversed quietly while sitting together in the living room. The microphone caught pieces. I didn't want you to get involved in this. Robyn, I'm already in it. I'm not hiding. She kept her hand on his. She explained to him that she had stolen the money from Kody's locker because she couldn't bear the idea of having to count change again just to go out. Caleb's face remained unwavering. He leaned near and added, "You did it for us." Before the producer cleared their throat in the background, the camera operator's lens zoomed in and captured the near kiss. The fan base was rocked by the revelation. Overnight, Robyn's mystery man, who is he, became the most popular search term on social media. It turned up old Facebook pictures of Caleb standing next to a motorcycle with the woman's arm around his waist that wasn't Robyn's. There were a ton of speculations, accusations, and amateur detective work in the comment section. Kody silently raged as he watched it all happen. He leaned forward in his one-on-one interview, his voice trembling. She did more than just embezzle my money. She joked with me, to my family, to the planet. The camera jolted when he slapped his fist against the armrest. And she did it smiling. When Mary of all people chose to stir things up, the tension reached a breaking point. She invited Robyn and Kody in for a mediated sit-down. Kody appeared first, his mouth hard, shoulders squared, and cameras rolling. A few minutes later, Robyn came in, followed closely by Caleb. The space seemed to vanish in an instant. Kody growled low in his throat. "You brought him here?" Robyn's hands were shaking, but she was standing tall. "You might as well look him in the eye if you're going to accuse me." Caleb took a step forward without flinching. "Kody, I'm not trying to hide from you. I never took anything from you. You stopped providing her one, so she took what she needed to survive." Like a sword, the words hung in the air. Mary sipped her tea with quiet satisfaction as they planned out. Kody pushed his chair back and stood over Caleb. One cameraman almost tripped on a cable as the crew scurried. Before hurriedly leaving, Kody spat, "This isn't over." Caleb's hand returned to Robyn's, and her eyes gleamed. The sound of an unfinished storm could be heard outside as the wind increased and rattled the windows. Rain was streaming down the windshield as Kody sat by himself in his truck the night after the unfortunate encounter at Mary's Inn. In the dark, the screen of his phone gleamed, revealing an old contact list filled with names he had shunned for years. At last, he raised the phone to his ear and tapped one. A rough voice replied, "Yeah?" "It's Kody," he added. "I need to know a dig on a person called Caleb." A puzzle unraveled. All the Flagstaff gossip mills sprang to life as Kody prepared his silent trap. Caleb was more than just an enigmatic stranger. People began discussing things like a brief landscaping company that failed due to financial irregularities, an unpaid tab at a biker club north of Phoenix, and rumors of a criminal past. TLC producers set up a sit-down with Robyn and Caleb in a park. They sat closely together on a bench with their knees touching. The producer leaned in after the initial gentle questions. "Have you ever been arrested, Caleb?" It was a brief but fatal pause. He looked down and let out a breath. "Yes, once, many years ago, poor ownership.
I wasn't feeling well, but I'm over that now." Glaring at the camera, Robyn gave his hand a protective squeeze, perhaps daring them to push harder. The producers, however, took care to slow down the video and moved to Robyn's face immediately following his admission. There was a glimmer of what appeared to be fear rather than shock or rage. Kody, meantime, had received his response. Late at night, he called Janelle in a low, desperate voice. "Janelle, the man has a record, and not just a small one. Possession, theft, and fraud. For years, he has been in and out of trouble, and she's out there supporting him as if he were a hero." Janelle listened silently, already figuring out how serious this could get. At last she replied, "You realize that this isn't just about you anymore. The entire show could be ruined by this." It took place 2 days later. Every tabloid and gossip website took up the story within hours after TMZ broke it first. Robyn Brown's new man has criminal past, sister wives in turmoil. With every refresh, the headlines become more scathing. Robyn Brown's covert relationship with her ex-con. TLC faces criticism for withholding boyfriend's records. Kody's wife embezzled money for a criminal lover. TLC was under tremendous strain. According to anonymous sources, the network was thinking of putting the show on hiatus until the controversy subsided. Executive producers called emergency meetings and emails were leaked. Caleb, however, was not about to back down. When he went live on Instagram, the comments section was immediately overflowing. His tone was calm yet threatening as he gazed into the camera. "You're looking for the truth? Kody isn't a saint. He has been playing the victim, lying to his wives and hiding money. The only person who ever saw through him was Robyn. Yes, I do have a past. However, I'm at least not hiding who I am." Within hours, the video became viral. Something snapped inside Kody when he saw it. "Does he wish to act shady? All right," he mumbled, reaching for his coat. "When I bring the law into this, we'll see how he responds." He brought a folder full of documentation, including surveillance footage, bank data, and a written statement accusing Robyn of stealing, to the Flagstaff Police Department that evening. News teams were outside Robyn's house by sunrise. Caleb was pacing the kitchen while she stood inside, holding her phone. "They're coming for me," she murmured, her voice breaking. And Kody was sitting in his truck once more, this time grinning, outside someplace across town. The following morning, Robyn's peaceful street was illuminated by the flashing red and blue lights. 2 cop cars sat idling outside her house, and neighbors looked in through the curtains. With his leather jacket half on, half off, Caleb stood in the living room pacing like an animal in a cage. Robyn stood at the kitchen table, her knuckles white from holding her phone so hard. There was a strong, authoritative knock. After taking a deep breath, she opened the door. There were 2 officers, one with a clipboard. "Robyn Brown?" She gave a nod. "Mr. Kody Brown reported an incident involving stolen funds, and we have some questions about it." The precise moment her shoulders slumped was captured on camera. With her eyes slitting to Caleb, she blurted out, "I didn't steal anything. It was money from the marriage. I just borrowed it." She was not yet arrested by the authorities. However, they gave her a summon to come in the following day to be questioned. Caleb's voice sounded piercing as the door shut. "They want to frighten you." His tone hardened as he came closer. "You can't let them. I'll make sure everyone is aware of him if they push this." Caleb took the initiative later that afternoon. He contacted a contact at a standalone YouTube gossip channel that focused on unearthing old videos and behind-the-scenes information. In a 45-minute expose titled "The Real Kody Brown: Secret Accounts, Hidden Deals, and How He Manipulates His Wives," which aired on the channel, Caleb sat in the background but spoke clearly as he related stories Robyn had told him about cash deals, illegal property trades, and how Kody allegedly maintained several bank accounts that his other wives were unaware of. The video had received over 1 million views by the evening. Demanding answers, fans delused TLC's social media accounts. The sponsors started calling. A small group of executives discussed Sister Wives' future in a heated conference room at TLC headquarters. "Robyn's issue might be turned into a ratings goldmine," a producer once said. Another retorted that retaining her would mean losing all advertising. 2 folders with the labels Season 20 Robyn Included and Season 20 Robyn Removed were placed in the center of the table. Robyn was sitting at her dining table in Flagstaff, sipping a cup of tea that she hadn't yet touched, smirking at the mayhem she had let loose online. Caleb was browsing through his phone.
You see, he uttered those words there in a panic. Robyn, that's power. Robyn, however, didn't appear comforted. She appeared to be exhausted. Caleb, you don't get it. Kody is no longer the only focus of this. This is my life, my children, my standing. Kody made an appearance in his own live stream that evening while seated in a poorly lit room. He spoke in a quiet, purposeful tone. You're playing with the wrong family, Caleb. Without even touching them, I've defeated stronger guys than you. And Robyn, he paused for a moment before concluding, you've made up your mind. The following day, Caleb was contacted by police for the first time, but it was about him rather than Kody's charges. He was accused of sending threatening messages to a TLC producer, according to a report. No longer was the storm merely circling, it was right above. Robyn donned a modest shirt, a soft, non-threatening cardigan, and her hair curled just enough to frame her face on the morning of her police summons. Caleb detested it. He mumbled from the couch as he put on his boots. You look like you're going to a church bake sale. She spoke fiercely, her voice quivering slightly beneath the surface. I'm going to convince them I'm not a criminal. One day, you might want to give it a try. The air at the station had a subtle sense of antiseptic and old coffee. Robyn was escorted by a female investigator into a tiny interview room with a single table and beige walls. With a gentle click, the camera above the entrance came to life. The investigator started off by asking her courteous questions, such as how long she had been married to Kody, when she had last entered the storage shed, and whether she had authorization to remove the money. Robyn gave thoughtful, practiced responses. Then, however, the tone changed. Investigator: Mrs., your husband says the money was intended for property payments. Brown, do you mean that you were unaware of the purpose of the funds? Robyn: I knew, Robyn said. However, all of the money is marital. It's not just his money. Detective: you're acknowledging that you took it even though you knew it wasn't for your use? Her throat constricted. As though the world was already watching, she cast a quick peek at the camera in the corner. Because I had to. I took it because when I ask, nobody pays attention. Caleb sat with his arms folded in the lobby outside, scowling at each officer that went by. A text message from an unidentified number buzzed through his phone. Be careful among strangers. Kody isn't playing a bluff. Neither am I. Caleb texted back, grinning. Then something changed that afternoon. Caleb shared a picture of Kody's truck parked outside what appeared to be a storage unit on social media with the message, "Nice to know where you hide things, old man." Within minutes of the post becoming viral, both haters and fans were guessing about its contents. The boardroom at TLC was in disarray. Sponsor emails poured in quickly, with some threatening to withhold funds if Caleb's harassment persisted, and executives struck the table with their fist. We've had enough of dancing about this. She can't stay with us, not in the photo with him. Robyn received the news from her producer on a private phone call that evening. For the upcoming season, her contract would not be extended. She was done, but they would air the remaining film they had. After the call, Robyn sat quietly and gazed at the wall, unaware of the destruction he had recently contributed to. Caleb was humming while brewing coffee in the kitchen. At last, she spoke something. They let me go. Unfazed, he raised his head. All right, you're not in need of them. I'm with you. However, her expression at the time, that gradual dawning insight, was the expression of someone who was unsure if she had simply exchanged one domineering male for another. Kody also received the call across town.
He made no effort to conceal his smile. Caleb's response to the TLC dismissal was not merely indifferent. Rather, it was exuberant. Sitting at the kitchen table like a man who had just won something, he poured himself a glass of whiskey. With a swirl of the glass, he declared, "You are now free from them, Robyn. You were being used, just like Kody did." Something tightened inside Robyn as she faked a smile. She had expected him to be protective and upset for her. Rather, he appeared to be happy. His actions changed over the course of the next few days. Suddenly, he became very curious in her financial situation, asking where her funds were, how much she had been paid for previous seasons, and whether she had access to any money left over from Kody. She dismissed it as curiosity at first, but his inquiries persisted, getting more pointed each time. "So, you think there's more in that storage locker Kody has? What about the accounts you used to receive payment from TLC? Are the logins still with you? Really, Robyn, you owe him nothing. You ought to take care of yourself." She found him searching through an old file drawer in her office one evening. He didn't even appear ashamed. He shrugged, as if it were no great deal, and added, "Just looking for some bank info." Robyn lay in bed that night, staring at the ceiling, mentally reliving the events of the previous month. The money that was taken, the dates at the restaurant, the turmoil with Kody, the police, and the dismissal. All of the threads pointed back to Caleb. Kody, meanwhile, was also digging. The report from the private investigator he had hired was worse than he had anticipated. Caleb had a history of courting financially troubled women, earning their trust, then depleting their resources before going missing. He had even been charged, in one instance, with intimidating a woman from not filing charges. This was not something Kody kept to himself. Within hours of his calling Mary and Janelle, word began to spread around the Brown family. On the phone, Janelle informed Mary she doesn't see it yet, but it's going to hit her hard when she does. A week later, Robyn's debit card was denied at the grocery shop, which marked a turning point. She was perplexed when she looked at her account on her phone in the parking lot and saw that it was almost empty. Over the previous 5 days, a number of sizable payments had been made to an account she was unfamiliar with. Her heart was racing as she sped home. Caleb was watching TV on the couch. "Robyn, Caleb, where's my money?" "Caleb, calm down. I shifted it with me. It's safer." "Robyn, more secure. I own the account." "Ours," said Caleb. "Remember, we're a team. Without me, you wouldn't even have the courage to confront Kody." Her gut twisted the way he said it. This was control, not collaboration. After Caleb went to sleep that night, Robyn sat by herself in the dark with her phone in her hand. She thought about phoning Kody for the first time in years, not to make amends, but to request assistance. Kody's phone flashed up with an unfamiliar number across town. The voicemail that followed was shaky, nearly mumbled, but he didn't respond. "It's me, Kody. I believe I have erred. I believe I am in danger." Until dawn, Kody's voicemail remained unanswered. By that time, Robyn was already navigating her own home with caution so as not to agitate Caleb. She could tell he was in a certain mood by the way he paced, checked his phone every few minutes, and moved restlessly. She had a strategy. While he was out on one of his errands, she would stealthily pack a bag, sneak out, and go somewhere safe, perhaps to stay with her sister in St. George. However, Caleb's voice could be heard from the doorway as she silently unzipped her luggage in the bedroom. "Are you going somewhere?" Robyn's hand remained on the handle as she froze. "I just decided to spend a few days with my sister. I need to clear my head." Shutting the door behind him, he entered the room. "Robyn, you don't require room. You must be loyal. Please don't abandon me now that I've done so much for you." She took a deep breath. "Caleb, you've stolen my money. I've been used by you." He had a thin, icy smile. "I've been keeping you safe. You're just Kody's cast-off wife, sobbing on reality TV without me. I told you a fresh tale, and until I tell otherwise, you will remain here." Her phone buzzed downstairs, a text message from an unidentified number saying, "Meet me at the corner store at noon if you want to go out. Come by yourself." Although she didn't know who sent it, she had a gut feeling that it wasn't Caleb. The hours that followed were oppressive. Caleb followed her from room to room, hardly leaving her side. She once pulled back into the bathroom to catch her breath, clutching the counter while gazing at her image. Her eyes appeared harsher and older. She informed Caleb that she would get milk for the children at noon. After giving her a long look, he answered, "All right, don't take too long, though." She snatched up her keys with shaking hands and slid out the door. Her heart was racing as she drove to the local grocery. At the far end of the lot was a black SUV. When the window rolled down, Kody appeared, appearing more solemn than she had seen him in a long time. "Climb in. We're running out of time." Caleb watched her car go away down the street from the window of the house. He clenched his jaw. He took out his phone and dialed. He said, "She's moving, and I believe she's going to him." There was a low, strange voice on the other end. "Then you know what to do." It was a frightening journey in Kody's SUV. With her arms crossed over her chest and her gaze flitting between the road ahead and the rearview mirror, Robyn sat in the passenger seat. She felt a weight in the air, like if danger was only a breath away, but she wasn't sure if Caleb had followed her. Kody's voice was harsh as he replied, "You shouldn't have stayed with him this long." The horrible news about the person. For months, I've been hearing rumors about him. Dubious transactions, people who vanish, and now you. I'm glad I learned about it before things got worse. Robyn stared out the window. "Kody, you have no idea what it's like to feel totally alone. I felt like I was seen by him. I didn't think anybody else was interested." Kody's grip tightened over the steering wheel. "I was concerned. I still do. But caring now means keeping you alive." They veered off the main highway and headed towards a remote location where Kody sometimes filmed interviews. The cabin was small and hidden behind thick trees, making it almost impossible to see from the road. Robyn recognized how remote it was. As they pulled in, Kody commanded, "Stay inside. Refrain from answering the door. I will determine our next course of action." He left her with a burner phone, shutting the cabin door behind him. Caleb, meanwhile, was already moving. His jaw was squeezed so tight it hurt as his pickup truck ripped down back roads. He had examined all but one of Robyn's potential destinations. He recalled how she had casually brought up Kody's secret filming spot. He squinted his eyes. He pulled over and called again. He said in the same low, strange voice as before, "I know where she is, but I'm not asking for permission this time." The other person's voice left. "Take the necessary action. Make sure she doesn't speak." In the early afternoon, Robyn was sitting on the cottage sofa and cradling her knees. She jumped at every squeak of the wooden planks. The silence in the forest beyond seemed excessive, as if it were holding its breath. Then she heard it. Tires on gravel. Slow. Intentional. Her blood ran cold when she peered through the blinds. Caleb's car. The front door handle rattled before she could reach for the phone. Caleb spoke out in a low but enticing voice. "Robyn, be open. Let's have a conversation. You don't want me to enter." Robyn realized then that she might never be able to leave if he entered. Grasping the burner phone, she inhaled. Her only option was to call Kody or call the police. Robyn almost dropped the burner phone because her hands were shaking so much. Outside, Caleb's voice remained low but persistent, as if he was attempting to soothe her down so she would open the door. "Robyn, you're making things more difficult than they have to be. Allow me to enter and we can resolve this. It's just you and me." Her stomach churned. He had always drawn her back with that tone, which was sweet on the outside but had a sharp undertone.